Then the next question is, have you felt any difficulties or frustrated because of the cultural differences?
이런 말 해도 되는지 모르겠는데 이상하게 콘돔을 안 쓰려고 그러는 거예요.
But for her, I don't know, I guess it's just destiny, I guess. It felt so strong.
What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I met some very adorable couples on the street and I asked them about being an international couple in Korea. Hello, could you guys introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Lucy.
This is Ben. Hi, nice to meet you guys.
Where are you from?
I'm from Luxembourg.
I'm from here, but I kind of stay in the States very long time. So I'm Korean, but you know, I'm American too.
How long have you guys been together?
6 months.
Yeah, 6 months, but it feels like 6 years.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
My name is Sophia. I'm from Russia and I'm 21 years old.
Hi, my name is Han-Jaeseon and I'm a Korean man and 29 years old.
So like, how long have you guys been together?
We've been together around 3 years. 2 years we was just date and 1 year ago we did marry.
저는 한국 사람입니다. 네.
Yeah, I'm from France, like Paris exactly.
How long have you guys been together?
Actually,
3 weeks, I guess.
yeah, 7월 1일자부터 연락했었어요.
How did you guys first meet? Could you tell me your love story?
Okay, so actually it was in a vegan restaurant. It's Style Vegan.
Style vegan.
I actually just went there by myself alone. It was for New Year. And he was there. There was like a vegan gathering.
Oh.
And since I know the owner, he was just like, oh, just sit with them.
Oh.
And so he saw me and that day he kind of stalked me. I mean like stalking, like messaging and...
I couldn't help.
You fall in love in the first sight?
Pretty much.
That's so lovely.
Yeah, really lovely.
When we first meet, we meet in Russia, Vladivostok, before Corona.
He just came for travel to Russia and we just was like have a good time, and later he asked my number, so we was contact more, and even after he come back to Korea we was still contact.
Did you guys do a long distance?
Yeah,
Alright.
it was long distance like for 8 months because it was Corona time, so we can't travel to each other and we was just like video call every day. Yeah, later we had the decision I have to go to Korea for our relationship because it was really hard to hold like more long time. Yeah.
Oh, at first it was a dating app. My first purpose on the dating app was just to meet friends, like to hang out. But like our first meeting was nice, and like we met second time, third time, and it became yeah, some sort of love. Yeah, not only friendship. Yeah.
So you guys meet in Korea.
Yeah, in Korea. Yeah.
Then what language do you speak when you guys talk?
Yeah, basically English.
English. Not Korean?
We try. Like he texts me only in Korean, and like easy stuff, like when we repeat something after, then I told him like please just in Korean. So like just have this habit like speaking in Korean. But we just love talking, and so naturally we just speak English.
Her first language is actually French.
Yeah.
But you know, she speaks good English. But we need to speak more in Korean actually for her to be fluent in Korean.
Yeah.
First time I can speak English well, so I'm trying to talking to English because she already know about speak English. So and later she study Korean language, and now we talking Korean language more.
Wow. So you try?
Yeah, I now can speak Korean, but just because of like at first we was speak in English, so now we can't just speak only Korean. 익숙해졌어? Like it's getting comfortable English, so we mix. Like it's no Korean and no English. It's just a mix of two language. Like even Russian language we mix together sometimes because like I teached him some Russian words. So if he wants to say something and he know it's in Russian, then he say in Russian also.
Wow.
Yeah.
English mostly.
English.
I try to learn some Korean, like some words sometimes, but English mainly. Yeah.
The next question is, like, compared to dating with someone from your own country, what's the biggest difference?
Mentality. Because in my country, Luxembourg, interacting with people is very different. So, for example, I like inviting people at home, but here saying, "Oh, would you like to come to my place?" It's like totally different meaning. So I was really shocked. I was dating other guys, and not dating, it was just meeting friends, guys. And I invited them at home, and they like starting touching, and I was like, "What are you doing? I thought you invite me for something more, you know?" And I was like, "No." And so that was for me the biggest culture difference, actually.
What about you?
I mean, for me, I never imagined to date actually non-Korean. I never imagined. But for her, I don't know, I guess it's just destiny, I guess. It felt so strong. Everything is first time with her. But since I kind of live in the States long time, pretty like open to new culture. So for me, I didn't really felt any difference or cultural difference actually. For me, it was not difficult at all actually.
Like one big difference is because like if you date Russian men, our relationship, we celebrate only like 1 year and like 2 year dating, but in Korea you like celebrate like 100, 200, 300 days, and it's like really cute because like men remember every like date, like when you first time start dating, and like give you more presents.
I'm not think very big difference because I think just same, but a very little thing. I don't know all Russian girl, but she really very thankful for my acting. A very little thing make me feel so good and comfortable. That's only one difference thing.
이런 말 해도 되는지 모르겠는데 이상하게 콘돔을 안 쓰려고 그러는 거예요. 거기서는 클리닉이 있으니까 그렇게 생각하는 것 같은데 저희는 아니잖아요. 한국은 아니잖아요. 그래서 이거 무조건 해야 된다. 제가 엄청 설명하고 엄청 설득했었어요.
한국에는 노콘 노색이라는 말이 있는데.
그렇죠. 그런 말이 있는데 왜 그냥 하면 되지. 약 먹으면 되지. 클리닉 가면 되지. 이렇게 생각하는 것 같아가지고 그래서 제가 엄청 설득하고 진짜 안 그러면은 나도 죽일 거다 이런 얘기까지 했었어요. 혹시 모르니까 신분증도 제가 찍어놓고 그랬었어요. 왜냐면은 차일드 그로잉피 이제 받아야 되니까.
Then what about you? Like what's the biggest difference?
Yeah, I think that everything was easier compared to France. When you're dating in France, it's sometimes complicated. I don't know why. It's always tough. You have to be like perfect. Here it was easier. Like I just had to be normal, just be myself, and it was okay. I think it's the main difference. And after that, it's kind of similar. Yeah.
Then the next question is, have you felt any difficulties or frustrated because of the cultural differences? Like have you had any arguments?
I think it's more about how developed people are. In Europe, they're more open-minded, and so we can talk very freely about everything. When I talk with him about it, so he's still very, can we talk about it? You know, so I'm like, yeah, these days everyone can talk it freely. And so for him, he realized, wow, the world have changed so much, and I realized Korea is still very close-minded yet.
For Koreans, you need time to speak about certain topics,
exactly.
Right?
She kind of shared the conversation she had with other people. Like for me, and the topic was pretty, still I realized, I'm still kind of in a way conservative, you know? So some friend, I was like feeling a little uncomfortable actually. But I mean, after we had some conversation, I try to understand more. But there was some cultural difference, and I felt a little difficult in the beginning. But for me, it was just learning process. You know, we met my parents too. She was kind of worried, but I got so lucky that they were very open. So I felt very fortunate. So overall, we didn't have too difficult. I mean, yeah.
Yes, like the most time we fight is not because like we did something wrong to each other, it's just because we misunderstand each other. Like maybe I can say something in Korean, but he can misunderstand it like some bad meaning. That's why we start fight, and I'm also like don't understand why he angry at me, and he like don't understand why I said like this, but like we not fight like wow, like this. No, we just talk each other. Oh, why you said like this? And like I say, because every people say like this, and like he say, oh, but in Korea we don't say like this in this situation, so you be careful when you say like this. It's better than fight because of like we did something wrong and like we did bad to each other. Sometimes misunderstanding is normal thing, I think.
it's really hard to understand each other because I'm explain to English, but I don't know where English at. I talking about Korean, but she also don't know Korean language, so really hard to make understand each other. But anyway, it's meaning make more stronger each other because I try to more understand her and her also understand me more.
If I, for example, fight with Russian man, then it's really very emotional thing. Like we fight, we not talk like for a few days, but when I fight with him, we talk more and like, oh, you said this wrong, and like I memorized it more well because like we different languages, and I understand that it's not his fault and not my fault. It's just like language difference, so we don't have to fight because of this anymore in the future like this. So yeah, we're living well. We really not fight a lot. Many people think if you date like men from another country, you will fight a lot, but it's not really. If you meet a good man, yeah, it's no matter where he's from, he just yeah, good.
Good, yeah.
The main thing is that I don't feel like humor here is the same. Like in France, I can be sarcastic, ironic, and it's normal. Like sometimes it's hard for her. She's upset when I joke, but like it's getting better. Like
선을 넘는 유머를 좀 하긴 하는 것 같아요. 이제 저희는 아무래도 그런 유머를 했다가 지저분한 유머는 하지 말고 상대분 기분 나쁘면은 그건 유머가 아니다라고 할 수 있잖아요. 근데 여기서는 그러지 않는 것 같아서 처음에는 제가 진짜 정색하고 그랬었어요.
어떻게 그렇게 말할 수 있냐.
네, 적당히 해라. 이런 얘기를 많이 했던 것 같아요.
Okay, then the next question is, as you know, being an international couple or interracial couple is not a common thing in Korea, right? So, have you got any prejudice or misunderstandings from Korean people?
There's a lot of eyes and there's a lot of energy. They don't say it, but I can feel it. And some, they're very happy too. So it's like 50-50.
For me, I'm not that sensitive, so I don't really feel it. But sometimes I can notice that, for example, if she have really afro, like curly hair, and walk inside the subway or somewhere, then some like kind of a little senior citizen here, I can feel that they're kind of looking at her. So I can feel it, but you know, I mean, who cares? I mean, as long as we're happy. So I don't really care. I try not to care too much.
It's fine because you guys are happy together.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I mean, you know, that matters, right?
You're very cool.
Thank you. I try to be cool here because I know it's gonna be aired, you know.
No, he's really cool.
Yeah.
not prejudice, but like just people staring at me sometimes. Mainly from elder people, like elderly people. They love to stare. I don't know why.
이제 엄청 쳐다보고 어디를 가도 직원까지 쳐다볼 정도고 이제 제 단골집 같은 데 가면은 사장님들이 제가 다른 남자인 친구나 남자친구를 데려갔을 때 안 그랬는데 누구냐고 물어보는 거예요. 약간 외국인을 데려온 게 좀 신기하다는 듯이. 그래서 약간 저는 은평구민인데 은평구를 지나다니면 더 쳐다보는 거예요. 거기는 좀 엘더 피플이 많으니까.
맞아요.
네.
또 외국인도 많지 않고.
네, 맞아요.
그만큼 이제 한국에서 이제 국제 커플이나 다른 인종 간의 커플이 많지 않다는 그런 증거겠죠. Do you think it's okay or you feel a little bit uncomfortable?
Oh, actually, I don't really care. Like for me, it's okay. Like if I like her, it's okay. I don't care about other people.
그 약간 문화의 차이가 있다고 했는데 여기서는 저희가 어느 정도 사회의 규칙을 좀 지켜야 되잖아요. 무단횡단을 하지 말아야 된다. 쓰레기를 버리면 안 된다. 이런 것들인데 이 친구는 그런 것들까지 다 don't care라는 거예요. I don't care 이렇게 얘기하는데 I care everything. 너가 신경 쓰지 않는 만큼 내가 신경 쓴다고 이렇게 하면서 엄청 이게 저희끼리 이제 밈이 됐어요.
If I want to do something, I just do it. You just have to be legal and moral, and then yeah, do it.
Wow, that's a big difference,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
This is it for today's interview. Thank you so much for your time and have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll watch your series too. This is very nice. This is very good.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
You have YouTube channel.
So our YouTube channel is Vegan Malaysian. So because we are vegan and since we are like international couple, like I'm half black and he's Asian, so that's why Malaysian. Vegan Malaysian.